Dr. James is our medical consultant to the Scott Show, founder of Diamond Physicians in Dallas. Dr. James, thanks for coming on with us today. And I don't even know whether or not you're in the same corner as me on the vaccine subject, but it's something I'm pretty passionate about, and will take every opportunity I get to bring the subject up when we have stories like this in the news.
Absolutely. As a family medicine physician, I am governed by two boards, the American Academy of Pediatrics and the American Academy of Family Physicians. And the physicians on these boards, they go through all the literature and all the medical data, and every single piece of medical evidence points to the fact that all of our children should be vaccinated. And just as you pointed out, there are no studies that have come to the conclusion that vaccination cause any type of learning disabilities or autism. Now, nothing in medicine is 100%, and there are rare cases of adverse reactions to vaccinations. But the recommendation is very firm that all children in the U.S. should be vaccinated.
What caused these misconceptions about vaccines to spread? I had somebody at lunch today tell me that they were scared of certain vaccinations because they contain mercury. There hasn't been mercury in most vaccinations, or only trace amounts of mercury, since I believe the 60s is when that was cleaned up.
Right. Mercury does not contain any vaccinations currently. But I believe the myths began in 1998 when there was a journal, in a British journal, that found that vaccination caused autism. And there was no medical fact at the foundation of this article. This article was disproven wholeheartedly. And unfortunately, that kind of spurred this anti-vaccination movement, and it's just not based on any medical merit.
And you have celebrities like Jenny McCarthy going out there and spreading that rumor. Now, I'm embarrassed that society is going to be more prone to listen to Jenny McCarthy, who I love. I think she's a very funny girl. But people are more prone to listen to her with her reasons not to get your kids vaccinated than they are medical doctors and scientists who spend their entire career and life studying this subject to keep us safe.
Right. And, the measles is a very contagious disease. It's extremely potent. It can cause major problems. It can cause pneumonia, extreme ear infections, which can lead to deafness, and it can cause encephalitis, which is brain swelling. So it's a serious disease, and we need to do something called herd immunity to protect the entire community, all the population of the U.S. as a whole. And herd immunity is basically when a portion of the population is immunized against a contagious disease. And that critical mass, that number is about 92%. And right now we've fallen below that 92% threshold, and therefore we have a significantly increased chance of having an outbreak and an endemic, because that herd immunity is not at or above 92%.
Dr. James, how would you respond to parents who say that the government should not intervene in personal medical choices?
That's a really tough call, and luckily I'm not a politician. I don't have to make that decision. But we have to educate the American people on vaccination so people can make an informed decision. There was a recent poll done by the CDC in 2013, and it showed that 79% of the people who refused to vaccinate their children did so because of a lack of belief in vaccinations. And that's what we have to focus on, is that education and letting people know that vaccinations are very safe, and that all of the academies, pediatrics and family medicine, approve them and recommend them to each and every U.S. child.
Isn't that just a big government conspiracy? Aren't we just trying to infect all of America and the rest of the world with some secret formula? Isn't it just a big government cover-up about the dangers of vaccines? A lot of people believe that. And on the other side of the coin, there are some proponents of homeopathic remedies who think that vaccines are not natural. That argument makes absolutely no sense to me because of the number of cases that we've seen in the last 10 years of measles and polio compared to pre-1963 levels.
Right. All the medical data shows that vaccinations do work. The measles was declared eradicated in 2000, and unfortunately those numbers have crept up. We had 84 cases in January of this year, and we had an average of 60 per year from 2001 to 2010. So we're seeing a huge increase in measles infections, and we have to turn this thing around, and we have to get our kids vaccinated.
What are the more dangerous diseases that are preventable through vaccinations? And if these diseases have been eradicated, like measles in 2000, why are they popping up again? How does that happen?
Well, mumps is another one. Rubella, hepatitis. We're vaccinating for hepatitis, polio. These are very dangerous diseases that are routinely vaccinated. And, it's just unfortunate that these articles have come out claiming that vaccinations are unsafe and that they cause autism. But we just don't have any clinical studies, no medical-based evidence that vaccinations are dangerous at whole.
The Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, actually estimates that 732,000 American children were saved from dying and 322 million cases of childhood illness prevented between just 20 years, 1994 to 2014, due to the availability of these vaccines.
Yeah, it's amazing what we've been able to do and accomplish in a very short amount of time, a couple of decades. But we still have work to do. Right now, 1 out of every 12 children are not receiving the measles vaccination. So I'm going to recommend every child out there receive that MMR vaccine. The first dose should be given at 12 months. The second dose should be given between ages 4 and 6. And that has a 99% effective rate with preventing measles infection. Now, if you're an adult and you can't remember if you had your MMR vaccine, you can receive another dose, and it's not going to be harmful. So I do recommend for adults, if you have no idea what your immunization schedule was like as a child, go ahead and get your MMR, and that way we can work on this herd immunity and protect people that can't be immunized, like your son.
Tell us in a nutshell how dangerous measles are for children and even for adults for that matter, and how quickly measles can spread, how easily measles can spread without getting too in-depth and scientific. How dangerous are the measles to children and adults?
Measles is a very dangerous, highly contagious disease. Once you are exposed to the virus, symptoms start in about 14 days. You can have a cough, runny nose, spots on the back of the throat called Koplik spots that appear after 2 days, and then you have a rash. And that rash starts on the back of the ears, works its way up the back of the neck, the head, and then down the body. And that's the diagnostic indicator for the measles, is that very typical rash. 1 out of every 20 kids who have the measles is going to develop pneumonia, and can be a very, very potent pneumonia. And then, of course, 1 out of every 1,000 will develop encephalitis, which is that brain swelling, which can be deadly. And then encephalitis can also lead to hearing loss or mental disabilities. So measles is a very serious disease. We have to be vaccinated so that we can prevent this infection.
Our telephone number, our new number is 419-214-1370. Dr. James, CEO and founder of Diamond Physicians. Thank you, Dr. James.
All right, thanks for having me on the show.